everyone tonight. We're glad everyone's here. As is our tradition, we're going to open with a word of prayer before our meetings. Omar, will you lead us in prayer? What, did I catch you with your mouth full?
No.
Okay.
Heavenly Father, we thank you this afternoon as we come together as a board. We ask that you guide us, give us wisdom to lead the school district, Lord. Give us understanding to make smart decisions. I also ask for protection over the children of the school district, administration, and everyone that's involved with this school. I ask that you help us. In the name of Jesus we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Omar. Appreciate that. We'll wait just a couple of minutes. If anyone wants to speak in open forum who isn't on the agenda, be sure to sign in on the open forum sheet out in the hallway. Everyone else, be sure to sign in under the guest sheet. We'll wait just a couple of minutes. I don't think
He's sick.
he's not feeling well. He was
Monday, I was Shawn all day.
Yeah, they just keep passing it in their family.
And Shawn has it in several young men in him, and it's bad.
I don't want any part of that.
He was here today, and I told him we stay away from him. But we had a planning meeting this morning. It's worse than that. It's like awful, heavy. Then
Well, they have the stomach. They kept passing the stomach bug around.
and he's taking care of counties up there, like Todd and Kimberly are on the group. So he's got Calvin and kids.
Woo-wee.
Grandma brings them to daycare, school, daycare, and Shawn takes them home. Yeah, he's doing it for 4 days. He and Sarah are.
So they're on
And then he's sick. Yeah, she booked some cruise.
She booked it 2 years ago, she told me. Okay, it is about 7 o'clock. We're going to go ahead and get started. Our secretary, Nicole.aguilera, is actually in Germany, moving her daughter and son-in-law and their family. He's in the military, so we appreciate his service, and we'll keep them in our prayer. So, Josh, you are our designated secretary tonight. All right, roll call. Jessica will be here in a minute. She's at a overtime flag football game in Plainview, so she'll be here in just a minute. Next, we'll start with the students of the month. Miss Robel, do you want to
Do your elementary.
Oh, there you are. I couldn't see you back there. I knew you were in here.
Okay, you go ahead and we'll present it. We'll take them out now. After we're done presenting, we'll take them out and I'll take pictures. So you have to speak. What do you do first?
So our first one, she's in the 3rd grade in Mrs. Freeman's class. And according to Miss Freeman, she's earned this for always doing her best, not giving up when things are hard, treating others with respect, and having good attendance. And she's even been in my office some this year. I do positive office referrals, so I've already awarded her with one of those as well. So she is very deserving of this.
Great. We'll go take a picture in a second, okay?
Hang on, we're going to go take a picture.
And then our second one, this young gentleman actually, unfortunately, was sick Monday, and he's not coming back to school till tomorrow. But he is Xavier Garzas. He is in the 6th grade, and so he has made it a habit to be prepared for class, come to school prepared to learn, and help his peers when he can. He is attentive and works hard while in class. He's a joy to have in class and is truly making an effort to be ready to learn. And he too has been to my office for positive referrals this year already as well.
Great.
Right, he's sick.
You can get it. Okay, and I'm going to do Mr. Langston's for him. He has nominated 2 students. The first one I'd like to honor is Michael Gonzalez, consistently been a model student. I'll read everything that was said about you. You ready? Michael has consistently been a model student. It's a joy to be her teacher. She has a positive attitude, always a smile on her face, never misses an opportunity to help someone, and is always ready to learn. She is respectful and always says thank you even when I'm handing her a worksheet. This sweet girl one of those students who makes me remember why I chose to be a teacher. And that's from Miss Bounds.
Very good.
Okay, the next student of the month I have is Leo Rojas.
He was not here.
Okay. The number one thing that Mrs. Hernandez cites, she sees in this young man is how quick he is to volunteer to help in anything that she needs in her classroom. From gathering other people's work, to peer tutoring, to running off papers. He worked so hard on his UIL academics, and she is sure that he will make it to regionals for the 3rd year.
Very good.
Okay.
Do we have teachers at the all right, let's go take a picture with the students of the month. And then y'all are welcome to stay for our meeting, or you can leave. It's totally your call.
Working on some bearings or getting dirty?
Drive shaft. A couple of drive shafts I had to put down. Honestly, there was
Is that as far north as you go?
20.
Where'd you go to?
Voices.
Yeah, you just.
There, and that was a down hard 5:30.
This morning? Oh, you were, and y'all were at 5:37 minutes, you barely missed.
Yeah. That's like I said, I was in Amarillo 30 minutes ago. I got it, I was in Amarillo 30 minutes ago.
That's okay, that's fine.
Road arrow blade.
That's all right, you're good.
If you get next to a building, you better get out the way.
Yeah.
Really?
It's like right here in a car, last car, it's like a tire.
Well, that's why I dropped in from.
I'm fighting for that road, I got a trailer.
You got a trailer too?
No, I had one yesterday.
Oh, where'd you go yesterday?
Yesterday I was in, Wellington,
Look, I found Jessica in the hallway.
Really too bad. You
Perfect.
didn't, I didn't. Supermom over here. Yeah, well, I
Okay, is anyone
we
here
had
to speak for
football
open
today, too, so
forum?
that's why
No,
I was like, Dad, you could.
Mr. Boyd?
I think I'm the only one.
You want to do it?
May I have everyone's attention? The next item on our agenda is the public comment period. Before we start, I want to say a few things about how public comments will be addressed. The public comments portion of the meeting is a time for citizen, staff, or students to provide their comments to the board. The board encourages comments about the district from members of the public. Anyone wishing to address the board must sign up in advance. Please do so at this time if you have not already. The sign-up sheet is located on the desk just outside of the door to the boardroom. The Texas Open Meeting Act and board policy provide that anyone may address the board at or before the board takes action on any matter on the agenda. This board has chosen to hear public comments at the beginning of the meeting. Statements from the audience will not be allowed during other portions of the meeting. The board asks that each participant's comments pertain to the district business and be no longer than 3 minutes. I will call each speaker by name when it is his or her turn to address the board, and will ask each speaker to please be seated when his or her time is up. For any member of the public who is accompanied by a translator, your time will be doubled as required by law. Please understand that the board will not engage in any discussion with any speakers during the public comment period, except in limited situations to clarify specific factual information or to reference existing policy when applicable. The board will not deliberate or decide on any matter not on the agenda. The rules for public comments are as follows. Only the person called upon will address the board. No one else should talk or interrupt the proceedings. Any disruptive behavior by anyone present could result in his or her removal from the board meeting. Anyone addressing the board should conduct themselves with common courtesy and respect for the right of everyone present, and should refrain from using rude, vulgar, or obscene language. In addition, the board has adopted policies to provide prompt and equitable resolution of complaints and concerns for employees, students, or their parents, and the general public. Copies of our district policies and procedures on public comment and filing complaints are available at the administrative office for each campus, the district central administration office, and via the district's website. With those cautions in mind, we will now hear public comments. Before we begin, is there anyone else who wishes to make public comment who's not signed up? If so, please do so now. Okay. Let me get my timer set, Mr. Boyd.
Take your time.
All right, are you ready? You may
Yes,
begin.
ma'am. Okay, I just wanted to refer back to the public budget meeting that happened on August 22nd, 2024. When I had, did some inquiries during the public comment, both the school board president and the superintendent, told me to refer to the minutes and the agenda that were posted on the Kress website, to see the amendments that were going on and why the numbers were different. But, currently, the only minutes that are posted are for July 30th, 2024's meeting, and the only agendas posted are from July 30th, 2024, August 13th, 2024, and August 22nd, 2024. So I was not able to do the research that I needed to compare the number changes, so I put an open records request in. But with those open records requests, there were some discrepancies in the meeting agendas where sections were left blank and then just NA and A. There was a meeting that happened in October 10th, 2023, and the school board talked about a vehicle purchase for security operations. That section was left blank. It was discussed again November 16th, 2023, and again, that section was left blank. And then in December, it was addressed in the meeting, and it said that there was corrections made, but if the corrections were made, I didn't get the corrections.
So, these are from your open records request, you're missing them?
Yes.
Just,
I was like, just cause it was
Just-
motioned and
just let
accepted
us
by
know
the
what you
meeting.
missed.
I sent it in the email,
Okay.
so, also I wanted to, know when the school was gonna update the current administration procurement manual, as the one on the website is from 2011 when Mr. Setliff was the superintendent. And I know since COVID and everything happened, a lot of things have changed, so,
It hasn't changed, the
so,
document that
Mhm.
is being has been updated is FASRAG, or the Edgar manual.
and I believe that is it.
Okay, thank you. I wanna address one thing to you. That says in A, that means no action was taken. So that's to clarify why those minutes say in A, no action was taken. Does that make sense? So it
Yes,
was
but on-
discussed and no action was taken.
So did
In
I
A.
use the same verbiage on all of it, or is it different? Because on the other ones, the verbiage is different for those that weren't discussed.
What was the verbiage?
It actually said was not discussed and
Okay.
everything on there, so,
That's a secretary and,
They're the mean the same thing.
okay, thank you, Mr. Boyd. Next, we'll move into approving minutes, from, first is the August 13th board meeting. So we'll give everyone a second to look at that. There's two sets of minutes, by the way, there's August 13th and the August 22nd. So let's look at the August 13th first, please. I didn't see anything on the 13th. Did anyone find any discrepancies on the 13th? Are they together, Josh, or separate?
They're separate.
Okay, so I need a motion to approve the August 13th minutes, please. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the August 13th minutes. All in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Next, we'll take a minute to look at the August 22nd minutes.
did Chloe speak at the August 22nd one?
Yes, good catch there. So we need to
Currently with correction.
Yeah.
with corrections and add her in there.
And then right here under
Yeah.
the
where it says Edna and Mr. Taylor and then add Mr. Quinn. Okay. If no one sees anything else, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes with corrections.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll say.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the August 22nd minutes with corrections. All in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Next we'll go into reports. You can see our enrollment report. Sorry,
No, you're
you
good.
just stop if we're going too fast.
No, not at all.
Okay,
I
sounds
just
good.
wanna make sure I said
Next
what
is
I
our enrollment comparison. You can see we're down just a little bit from last year, but still within reason. Ms. Robel, do you have anything you wanna add on enrollment?
We just had one withdrawal, but then we had another one the same day,
So it's a wash
Yeah,
on your
so-
campus?
so we're still down 132.
Okay. Next, we'll go into, the appraisal district. Of course, not much has changed. This is, we're fixing to get started over with the appraisal district reports.
We're not going to be like 2,000.
Not much change there. It's the wrong time of year for that. Next, we'll go into the utilities report. Oh, we started a new spreadsheet. We ran out of lines on the old one, didn't we?
Yes, we did. God, this is the-
Yeah, I like the other two. I can see it a little better. That partial payment to Excel in August, why was it a partial payment, do you know?
I think that's when we had it, when I added we added W, right, and we had a transfer, he had a transfer from that to his own,
Got it,
cause his pay was over.
got it. Man, it was really high in
That's what
September
I'm-
though, that's why I'm,
Check on that, imagine it's because we're all getting,
Well, I think
Right,
it's
the air
having the football field lights turned on every morning for
Yeah.
Rick and Howard.
Yeah.
those lights are
Which-
expensive.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense to me, to be
But I
honest.
think that reflects on everybody's bill.
Oh, yeah, but to go from 6,000 in July to 16,000
I
in
think
Well,
it
look
is.
at
September.
the previous September,
it
it
was
was
on-
11 to
it
6.
Well,
was
that's
over.
true.
Yeah.
No, you're probably right, the
I
football
think-
field lights
I think it has to
in the
do with-
morning, cause we
it has
haven't
to do with-
typically been doing that in the
Okay.
mornings.
Yeah,
You're
that's
also
fine.
gonna experience some timing
Oh,
differences
that's
with
true.
sporting week and them doing their building and reading. And then you have the baseball, football lights, those things.
Though they're very expensive to
It's
turn
gotta
on.
be,
So they turn them on from 6 in the morning to,
Yeah.
yeah, they're only on,
Daybreak.
but then
And
they're
air
also,
conditioning.
then they're also leaving them on.
You need to do it.
Not Miss Robel. Sorry.
They're
Sorry.
on for a few days till like 10 or 11 o'clock in the afternoon.
I don't know if they
They had
fixed
come on
it
for a
yet,
couple
but
days.
I know she didn't have it for a while. Are you fixed yet?
That's on me.
Mid-October is what,
When you don't
When
need
you
it
don't need
anymore.
well, I think it's the whole unit, so it's.
I know, the whole unit's out, that's what I heard. Okay, utilities next are CDs, nothing has changed, we're still sitting at 2.6 million. You can see we're adequately covered at Kress National Bank. On our CDs, next Missy can talk about cash on hand there.
We have total balances of 981,476. About half of that is in the debt service for the payment, and then we'll make another payment, easement payment, another extra payment. And we'll look at that next board meeting. And then the other portion is in the financial clearing agency.
Any questions on that? The cash? Okay, general fund?
And on the next page, the top is the revenues, and the bottom is the expenditures. And,
This looks like this is closing out last fiscal
we're
year.
gonna start with last fiscal year.
Okay.
In terms of, general fund, it's a dynamic document, it's a dynamic budget, it ins and outs, but, you can see that we have, the majority of our tax, and yes, we do have some collection of the delinquent, which is probably reflected in the report. And then the penalty and interest on the, debt service and more. So we do have some interest income. And then we have some rent, and then we have an in and out from school boards. And, you're right about, they're setting up, the state's
Yeah.
gonna settle up ASF in the available school fund. They're gonna take what we report in our tax information survey and, our fund balance, and they're gonna settle up. So what they do is they will either add or take away as this ebb and flow of the budget, and they will do that, and this reflects that. So. And the next is the food service, which we've already looked at.
Now, we've already looked at all of
And
this,
this
because
all
we,
is, yeah, this is, interest and sinking fund, which is an INS fund. So we have like $391,219.
how much do you anticipate another defeasance payment? Are you thinking?
150,000.
Cause we did 250 last time? Oh, 150 last time, so another, okay, that's great.
150.
That's great. Any questions with primacy on the financial
We don't
reports?
have a September month
Right,
yet, so
right.
that's why they're
Our
all-
minutes are having 2 meetings in August, and now this one, everything's a little bit duplicated. Our timing's a little off, so in October, we'll start seeing the
Yeah.
financials for
September.
this fiscal year. Any questions from Ms. Zeigler on any of that? If not, we'll go into a maintenance report. Anything, obviously, we still don't have an air conditioning in Ms. Rebels.
No, and they've been working on sinks in the 4th, 5th, and 6th grade restroom. Basically, the sinks are pulling from the walls. And so they had to rebuild some of the internal structure, and they used metal to do that because they couldn't attach the wood frame to anything, and they found that some of the sinks that were put in were just attached to a board.
Those are the bathrooms we redid during the last bond.
Exactly.
Great.
So they've spent quite a bit of time creating and welding a frame to put inside the wall to remount the sinks, and so it's pretty sturdy. They've been working on plumbing. And of course,
Do they have to cut like that wall board out around it and all
They
that?
cut-
Oh, gosh.
They cut the back, so, looks pretty good actually, but the sinks are coming out of the wall because the boys are, of course, playing around.
Pushing on them, doing push-ups on them.
So we've been doing plumbing and AC and mowing and watering and keeping up with, the football field for football season.
Yeah, it looks real good. Football
It
field
does
looks
look
nice.
It looks nicer.
Looks real nice.
So they come up on Friday morning usually and work, change water, or on Saturdays they'll come up, one of them, and take turns and come up on Saturday and move water.
And I would like to add to maintenance that, Jeremy pushed the bonfire up
Mm-hmm.
last week. He's been working at the ag farm extensively. We ran out of room at the ag farm, which is great for our show projects. So he's been building more pens, and Ms. Z approved a little bit of money to, remember, it burned down, so we had that insurance claim, so there was still money available from that insurance claim. So he put up better fencing so dogs and people can't get into the animals out there. So he's been working hard out there.
And then we're gonna add some more electricity.
We're gonna add, oh yes, that's what I was gonna say, Mr. Langston and Mr. Wade said, we don't have any electricity in the sheep barn. I don't know how that got overlooked when we did the electricity in the hog barn, but Ms. Z contacted Clear Sky and they're gonna come fix that. So that's a great problem to have, that facility is being used and used to the I mean, it is full, so that's great, it's a good
I
problem.
got a question, Tiffany, how's the lighting out there, like, and there's no lighting out there?
Well,
right?
so, no, there is,
There is.
It's better now.
it's better. Clear Sky came last year or 2 years
Last year we
ago,
had some
after the
lighting.
fire.
We put in electricity in
In
each
each
pen,
pen.
and lighting. So there's lighting on central
On the
pole.
pig side really, but the sheep side
We're
didn't
gonna
have any,
add-
so they're gonna add lighting out there
We're
to the
gonna add
sheep
some more
side.
lighting and electricity on the sheep side.
And when it was so hot, the sheep needed fans and they didn't have any plug-ins in there. So anyway, it's always good to work with 4-H and the school together and make things happen. It's a great place for our kids who don't have a place of their own to keep their projects. So anyway, anything else on maintenance that anyone wants to add or talk about? If not, we'll go into principals reports. Ms. Robel?
So Monday, September 23rd is our parent-teacher conferences, so we're inviting parents to come in and visit with teachers and kind of get to know them and know the progress of their parents and their expectations for the year. And then September 26th, we're gonna have our first Rhubarb party with the hot dogs for kids that have earned that. October 7th, Ms. Jamie Goss is gonna take the 5th graders to the Playa Lake and the museum in Tolias, and it's a great learning opportunity for those kiddos. And then October 17th, we've got a field trip for our pre-K through 2nd grade to go to the pumpkin patch in Canyon.
Anybody have any questions for Ms. Robel? Okay, if
How's-
not,
I have a question. How's your participation going with the kiddos this week? Is it participation? I mean, it's National Attendance Week, right?
Yes, we've done National Attendance Week, month, I'm
Month.
sorry.
Yes.
So every Tuesday, they've been doing a dress-up day, and so that's been going really good, and the kids have joined it. The part, like last week was career, they got to dress up as their favorite career, and then we did bright colors the first Tuesday. Today was sports, and then our last one will be bring your cap.
Awesome. I like that.
no, that's awesome, very good. Thank you, Ms. Robel. Alright, next we'll hear from SCCLA, Ms. Lamb and Addie and Courtney. So they went to Seattle this summer, and I think they're gonna tell us a little bit about it. Ladies? You can go to the podium, or wherever you want to go.
Go ahead. So like she said, this summer we had the opportunity to travel to Seattle, Washington as a part of the National SCCLA Leadership Conference. So for that, I got to go because I qualified in my competitive star event. So my event is professional presentation, and basically I had a 10-minute speech with a display board that I had created over childhood obesity. So in order to get to go to nationals, I had to qualify out of regionals with 10 competitors, and then again out of state I had to be in the top 2 with 30 competitors. So then at nationals, each state gets to send 2 representatives. So I was fortunate enough to get to make the finals as a top 10 and then receive 3rd place with a score of 99.45 something.
She's a little salty about that.
99.45 something.
Still
It's 3rd place evidently at nationals, but so yes, extremely, and apparently that's with a math system added, because there's so many kids, they have to have different judges. So there's I would spreadsheet to make the scores even, although I'm not really sure how that happens. But anyways, I was shocked when I heard that. So while we were there at the True Leadership Conference, I was busy getting ready for my competitions and competing and getting to go to the awards recognitions for all of the national contests, and then Texas has an award ceremony where they give you either a bronze, silver, or gold medal depending on your score. So a 99 was a gold medal. And then Courtney, she can talk about her side of the
I got to
experience.
go as a regional vice president. I was incoming records and outgoing membership because I ran twice, and I will be rerunning. I got to trade pins with other members at the expos. I collected a pretty good sum from different states. I got to go watch the national officer speeches be given, and that was really cool. A lot of different ideas for a rerunning speech. I think that's really all I did at the conference. I helped Addie a little bit, listen to her speech. At least like 6 times.
I decided maybe I should practice a little bit, but
Yeah.
Tell us something fun y'all did.
Yes.
And then outside the conference, we went to the Space Needle, the Pop Culture Museum, the Garden and Glass Museum, the
Pikes
Parks
Palace.
Marketplace.
Pikes Palace.
Pikes Market's great.
What was it? And then with FCCLA, we had the
Oh wait,
opportunity.
but y'all were there over the 4th of July. Tell them.
Oh, yes.
Oh yeah.
We got to go on a little
Lake cruise.
lake
Dinner
cruise, and we went out on the water and we watched a really cool fireworks show. I think it was one of the best ones
Really
I've
close.
seen.
Yes.
Yeah, it was
Yes.
up close.
We learned that is like the premier fireworks show in the country, of course, next to New York City, but they have an old barge that they put out on this lake and shoot the fireworks from the barge, and we're on a boat, like probably 200 feet from the barge shooting fireworks. So
It's pretty much right in
that
front
was
of
a
you.
great
really cool.
ending to a really good trip. We
Yeah.
also had the opportunity through FCCLA to get to go to a baseball game. That would kill me right now.
Yeah,
Mariners, yes, the Mariners. We got to go see a baseball game, which was really great.
It
And
was a close game.
if you know me, I'm a foodie, so we definitely loved our seafood. Well, Courtney didn't, but
I think my favorite thing I ate was the first night we were there. I got some really good rigatoni pasta. It was really good. And then
Best
at the
part.
baseball game, they have really good pizza.
I mean, some places you go, they have nasty.
It was nice.
I guess we were there a total of 4 nights and 5 days, I believe. So we flew out of Lubbock and ended up in Seattle. So it's a great experience.
Congratulations. They did
Thank
great, yes. I got to be a lead a consultant in helping out with one of the events. They always need people to do that in order to run them, so I got to do that, which always means I get to learn more about different events. And we had a great time, walked a lot more than I wanted to.
Miss Lane was very tired when they got
She
back.
was tired, yes, but anyway, they had
Had
so
to
much
see it
fun.
all.
Yes. Anyway. I did find out when you're doing a Google search of a restaurant in a place that's near a lake, make sure that you clarify, because 2 miles away is as the crow flies.
Across the water.
Across the water meant a 30-minute drive there and a 30-minute back. That was a surprise, like, oh, yeah, okay, so anyway, but we had a good time. And they got to ride the little scooters.
Oh yeah, we did a late night deal where me and Addie and Mr. Lamb, we went on the little scooters that you can drive around.
Yeah.
That was fun.
And don't go to don't go past 5th Street.
No,
We
don't
quickly
Don't
discovered.
go back past it.
Yeah, don't go.
Oh, we
don't.
also learned that you're
Just
gonna have to push yourself back up the hills and
Yeah.
go down.
Go down, you drive any of the metro stuff under the ground?
No, not down, but it was kind of late at night, and after 5th Street, I was ready to go back to the hotel.
They have a little homeless park
Yes.
down there, and you do not want to go there.
Yeah, in fact, our hotel was very close to that,
Yeah, I've taken.
so we had to, like,
Some detours.
go come along.
And it was a
around
great
and
break
Be
of-
supervised with Mr. Lamb all the time, anywhere, didn't go anywhere by ourselves.
So I think one thing that's important to say is that in FCCLA, it's not broke down like football by divisions. Like they're thrown in with the Lubbock Coopers of the world, like they're competing against the giant schools. All the schools are lumped together. What was there, like 99 kids in your contest?
At nationals,
At
and
nationals,
all
yeah.
99 kids had to qualify to
Yeah.
get there in the first
Yeah.
place. So,
So you're on.
So it's a big deal. So super proud of y'all for going and representing Kress and working hard and doing your best. And thanks to Miss Lamb for being their fearless leader amongst a bunch of other kids. Tell me what you did today, Miss Lamb.
So today we had our fall leadership, which was in Plainview. Last year it was in Lubbock, but we actually the officers have to help host it, and they have to run the actual workshops. They have to actually be the presenters of the workshops. And so they have different ones that they wrote the scripts for this summer at the
Camp.
officer camp.
That Courtney went to.
They wrote the scripts and stuff, and then they had to come back here, and so they're all of them across the state are basically have the same script of what they have to teach, and so they teach about FCCLA and what it does and what they can do and how they compete and just some tips. And so that was today. I took 18 students. Micah was one of them. She's she's the one that got the award. I said, yes, Mom, yes, anyway. So they had a great time, learned a lot, and they're already excited about all their competitions.
Very good.
It's great, the kids were all excited this morning about it,
They were talking about it when we went and got ice cream at Brahms. They were all talking about it. They all seemed pretty excited and enjoyed themselves.
Well, because Nationals next year is at
Orlando,
Disney
Florida.
World, so that's a little motivation for some
Yeah.
of these kids to
I made
step
sure
up a little bit.
Yeah.
At my presentation, I made sure to emphasize that it was in Orlando.
Yeah.
And as soon as I said that, everybody lit up like it's fine.
Right.
Orlando, Florida.
So what is your event this coming year?
as of right now, I'm planning on doing professional presentation again. So since I do so much in 4-H too, I like to double dip speeches. So if we can do a speech in 4-H and FCCLA, so professional presentation kind of fits.
Work
That-
smarter, not harder.
Yes, that's my motto. We're
And we roped Rhett into competing too this year.
Yes.
Good luck. Right.
You'll be fine.
He
Does
just
anybody
said it
have
'cause
any
those are
questions
really
for
good.
the FCCLA department? Thank you, Ms. Lane, for always cooking for us.
Yes.
We appreciate you greatly. Oh. Great.
I wasn't here.
Thank you, girls. Thank you.
Thank you guys.
All right, next we're gonna have our county agents,
You wanna get
that's
your paper?
Kelly Reynolds and Jason Wade. You heard a little bit about 4-H already tonight with Ag Farm and with Addie talking about 4-H, but they're gonna share kind of what they do with the school and with the county. So welcome, we're glad to be, y'all are here tonight. All right.
So we, just brought you a list of things that we're doing together at the school, and so we really appreciate the partnership that we have with the Kress School and the things that, we're allowed to work with you on. So, I got the privilege to serve on the SHAC committee this year, and so thank you, Ms. Zeigler, for letting me be on that. And that really, helps give, me insight on programs that, as the Family Community Health Agent can provide for not only students, but also teachers, so hopefully we'll be able to partner with some of those things. You wanna tell them about the work that you have the people do at the Ag Farm?
Yeah, so a lot of the cleanup last year at the Ag Farm, I have a great relationship with the prison in Tulia. And so I was able to ask the warden if they could come out and do work out there. So they were able to clean up a lot of stuff that had gone years without being cleaned up. And they are also available to do that at any time again. So they said that they'd be happy to come back if we ever have a project over there, or if you have any other project that, you know, on days where kids aren't gonna be here, just away from kids, they can work on anything that you guys need. I know for Tulia ISD, they built all their admin offices and things like that. So if you ever need a contact and help with things, just let me know and I can get you a good contact there. But they're great help. And like Tiffany said, you know, my first year here, I think we had about 3 pins being used out there, and I'd say right now we already have 10 to 12 that are going to be used this year. So it's great to see more kids involved, and not only in livestock, but Callie will talk about a lot of other things that we're seeing more involvement into.
Maybe I should, I feel like most of you know us, but maybe I should introduce myself a little bit. So my name is Kelly Reynolds, and I'm the County Extension Agent for Family and Community Health. So like Ms. Lamb is the FCS teacher here at school, my job is similar, except my classroom is the entire county. So we cover Happy, Tulia, and Kress. And so I've been a County Extension Agent for, I think, 28 years. I'm losing count. So, but 23 of those years have been here in Swisher County. So I've been here for a while. My kids go to school here.
Yeah, and I'm Jason Wade, and I'm 28 years old. So.
Oh my! That was a long.
I'm the extension agent for Ag and Natural Resources, and so I would do all the similar stuff to an ag teacher, and where Kress doesn't have one, I kind of fill that role or help to, at least on the 4-H competition side. Obviously you have shop classes and things like that, which are great. And then I also do adult ag programs for producers and farmers and things like that. But yeah, so
some other things we've been partnering on. So I teach the food handler certification course. So that's required for anyone working in the food service industry. You have to work under the food manager, like Laura is our food manager here. So I don't teach that course that Laura would have to take, but everyone else underneath her, I do food handlers. So I teach that with the cafeteria workers, and then I've done it with some students, and then also anytime, like last year, some of the aides were doing some of the food service, so they got certified. So I really enjoy doing that. It's really simple, and I can come here at the school and do it, or sometimes I'll come over to Jeff's restaurant and do it, or some of the cafeteria staff came to the office this summer. And the good thing about that, like, I know it's been a few years, that Aaron Garcia comes to mind, because when I taught here at school, he got that certification, and then he got a raise at his job because he got that certification. So that's something I appreciate y'all letting me come and do. Ag Safety Day, we just had like our, 23rd Ag Safety Day, so we have all the 4th graders come to the show barn in Tulia, and we have Happy and Kress come together at the same time, and we have our 4-H kids, and then people that are kind of experts in that safety field come and speak. So, we've been doing that for a long time. Jason and I just got an award for that. We feel like it's really impactful. In fact, I'll never forget when Miss Woodard was teaching here, and she said that Brazelyn, her daughter, was attacked by a dog, and she knew from Ag Safety Day to cover her neck, and that's where she learned that. And I was like, wow, we saved somebody's life. So, you want to tell them about hatching in the classroom?
Yeah, so we do an egg to chick program in the 2nd grade classroom, and the kids love it. I can promise you they ask me about it. When we're here in the fall doing our other programs, they ask me about it. When are we getting the eggs? When are we getting the chicks? So, we had a really good year this last year. We hatched, I can't remember, we did ducks this last year, and we had a dozen of them hatched. So, normally we have 1 or 2.
Needs more ducks.
Oh yeah. There we go.
Or do some releasing.
Yeah.
We used to do that. My kids love ducks.
And so not only hatching the eggs, but I also do education programs once a week with them, and it's usually 4 to 5 weeks that I go in, and we'll talk for 20 minutes to a half an hour, and I'll teach them about kind of the life cycle of an egg, and how the egg you eat from the store isn't going to be a baby chick. And so we learn a lot about the life cycle in that class, and that's a great program.
So y'all be sure to ask Nicole about when Sophia was little and they hatched the eggs. So if you don't know that story, I'll let her tell it. It's super funny. So last year for the first time, I did the Fresh Start to Healthier Youth series with the seniors, and we did it during their what was it?
RTI.
Yeah, during RTI. Yeah, and it was it was just a senior class. Did in the library. I brought them something to eat each time, and it was just over kind of, I'm gonna call it adulting in secret, like I'm getting you ready to not be at home and you're gonna cook. So we talked about planning meals, nutrition, we talked about going to the grocery store and getting the best, deals for your money. I brought grocery store ads, and we planned meals from the grocery store ads. So it was really good. They were great. We had a really good time. If they didn't like it, I didn't know it, because they acted like they really enjoyed it.
They don't want you to know that, but they
Okay,
They're
well,
seniors,
good.
they're not gonna
Yeah.
show.
Seniors.
Yeah.
Yes.
Seniors.
They acted great. I enjoyed doing that with them. So I'm hoping that we can, keep that, some sort of something like that going with them. We are doing, or we finished doing Learn, Grow. We do Learn, Grow, Eat, and Go series in 4th grade, and that is a series where we go for, really it's about 12 weeks, sorry. But Miss Goss, we partner with her, and it is a nutrition and gardening series where they're learning about basic nutrition. We've planted a garden, so we just planted a cool season garden. So Jason and I are trying to do really good about watering it, but if you walk by and see these
That's
watering,
the box,
Turn
not
it
the
on and
concession
water it
stand.
whenever you walk by.
Yes, just turn some water on it. So we planted radishes, spinach, broccoli, cabbage, some herbs, and I think a couple of different leaf lettuce varieties, and it's coming up. So believe me, I forgot to say, Kendall Circus is like, is somebody watering our garden? I'm like, he is very worried that we're not gonna have anything in it. So anyway, the great thing about that, this is probably our, I think we did it when you were in 4th grade. Y'all were either the first class or one right before that. So we've been doing it at least since Abby's class was in 4th grade. And so some of these children have never tried some of the vegetables we're having, even though our cafeteria is serving them. They've never tried broccoli or snap peas or I'm trying to think of.
It was amazing last week how many said they had never had broccoli.
Yes, we had
Oh my
broccoli
God, that's
last
such a
week.
simple
And
vegetable, and I bet
I
half
know
of
we're
them said
having
they
it in the
hadn't had it.
cafeteria, and so
They throw it away.
they're just this is the time I tell them we're just trying it, nothing is gonna hurt you. So the rule is you have to taste it, but you don't have to swallow it. They can spit it out. And
Politely.
so, politely, yes, we're working on being, and they're doing really good,
They are.
and they're a pretty active class, but they are handling it pretty well. So, I think we only have one kid that's like really struggling with the tasting, but he's not complaining, he's not being loud about it, so, but I can tell he's not liking everything so far. We've only tried 2 things, but, it's just really good for them to be able to have that experience in a safe environment, and hopefully they can go home and say, hey, we tried this today, could we try this at home, and share it with their parents. They're also trying a recipe made with broccoli or with whatever vegetables. So like last week we had broccoli with mashed potatoes and cheese and ranch. I mean, it's really good. So anyway,
Ranch tastes good on it.
yes,
Cheese.
yes, ranch and cheese and potatoes with broccoli mashed up in it. And for the most part, everybody did really like that. So we really like doing that program. It's a lot of fun. We're gonna do something new this year. There is a physical activity component to that curriculum. So we're gonna do drum cardio. And that is going to be with 5-gallon buckets and beach balls and drumsticks. So pray for me.
Miss Robel's going, what?
But I said to Coach Bingo, she was like, well, this looks like fun. I'm like, okay, so we're gonna try it out. And
I may have to join in.
yeah, come on. Okay, so we're gonna do it right during 4th grade PE time. So we're gonna try it, and then Coach Munoz can use those things with the other classes too. So let's see. You wanna talk about our club here?
Yeah, so we have 44 members enrolled, and just to give you guys an idea, in Swisher County as a whole, we typically have around 100 kids enrolled. So Kress accounts for a large portion of the 3 communities. And so we love how strong the Kress 4-H Club is, and it's not just members. I'd say, if you look at our other sheet that we handed out and the accomplishments of our kids, a lot of those kids on there are Kress kids. So it's not just that we have a lot of numbers, but some of our best members are here in Kress and our most active ones. So 44 probably doesn't even represent very well how much those kids do, because all 44 of those kids do multiple projects. And a lot of them do 3, 4, 5, 6 different projects. And so we're very lucky to have Kress. It's definitely kind of the anchor of our 4-H program.
We started food nutrition today, and it's so great because Miss Lamb lets us use her room. So I get all the little kids after school, and we go to Miss Lamb's room. You didn't come today. We made fruit parfaits today, so it's a great cooperation, is what I'm saying. Miss Lamb lets us use her room. Yeah.
So one of the things that we've been doing since '09 is we work with a group called O-Log Commons to do community internships. And so we've had several interns from here in Kress, Landry Setliff, Brooke Goss, there's probably people like Jesse Stark. We're all part of our community internship program. And Josh has hosted interns at his business. We've had interns come and help here during summer school time. And so it's really giving young people, high school or college age, a chance to just try out some job experiences. And so we put them in places that they're interested in working, and then we just put them in some random places just to try some things out. Because we want them to have a chance to say, yeah, I'm for sure I want to work in the medical field. Or they can say, I for sure do not want to work in the medical field. And I always tell them, this is the time to find out before you spend $100,000, becoming a nurse or a pharmacist or whatever. So Caitlin Rice was the one of our interns from Kress this summer. She reached out to me, she contacted me, said, I want to do an internship. And so she's interested in accounting. She worked at Martin, and we had some short-term internships. So they're either 200 or 100 hours if you're in high school. So we had 4 that did 100-hour internships, and Caitlin was one of those. She worked at Martin Tax Service, she worked at Mid-Plains Telephone, and Swisher Electric. So she kind of got a variety of different experiences. She got to work with those accountants at those co-ops, to kind of see, you know, you don't just have to be a tax accountant, you know, for privately. And so I think she had a really good experience. I'm really, you know, proud of that program. We have to have a community buy-in from that, so we usually have to generate between $10,000 to $18,000 because it's a paid internship, so they receive a stipend over the summer. So that we were really glad to have Caitlin. I think she enjoyed it. She obviously made a connection with those people that she worked with. I could tell when we had our little, like, we call it the harvesting ceremony. So at the end, we actually, one of the other interns put a movie together of all their experiences, and we showed it at the Royal Theater in Tulia, and so that was really neat. So, just real quickly, we won't take much more of your time, but this sheet is just a recap of the big things that happened in our 4-H program this year. So our programming year runs on a school, basically on a school year or fiscal year. So last year we had 123 members, and then 10 of those were Clover Kids. So we started a new Clover Kids program last year. So that's for kindergarten, first and second graders. And I'll just admit our target was really Tulia because that's where we're struggling in membership. And guess whose kids came? Kress and Happy.
It was fun, right, Jessica?
Yeah, but we did have some Tulia kids, but the majority of our participation was still Kress and Happy kids. But we're glad to have any of them. We just kind of introduced them to the 4-H program, 4-H projects. We did some tie-dye, we made cookies, things like that. And 123 members is growing. So I would say in the time that I've been the agent here, our highest enrollment was in 2019, and we had 180. And then after COVID, we have really struggled, just like all other, you know, programs have. So we're slowly working on building that back up. We did Clover Kids as a way to try to build that back up. We're going to start robotics. We had a robotics camp this summer and had several Kress kids participate in that, and have some Kress families that are going to do that, and some parents that are going to coach it. And so just our biggest traditional 4-H projects are food nutrition, livestock, and shooting sports. And so Courtney's involved in shooting sports. Oh, she went.
She was second yesterday at Tri-State Fair.
Awesome.
Yeah, she was, did archery yesterday at Tri-State Fair. So we offer all 4. We offer a shotgun, pistol, rifle, and archery. And those are, you know, what I feel like, you know, when people are like, oh, I have to be in 4-H, I have to show. I'm like, no, you do not have to show. And so we really have a great shooting sports program. So if you have people that are asking about 4-H, encourage them to do shooting sports. It's very structured. It's very, very safe, and a really great way to learn, you know, some discipline. We have great coaches. So, anything else?
No, just thank you. Honestly, we love working with Kress School District. We get to work with all 3 school districts in the county, and we've worked with other school districts as well. And Kress is one of the very best, and we really love the teachers and administration and everything you guys do. So, thank you.
Does anybody have any questions for Callie and Jason? You'll see on our agenda, we're gonna approve them as adjunct faculty, and so what that means for Jessica and Omar is that our kids who don't have FFA, they're excused absence to go, like Courtney was excused absence yesterday to go do archery at Tri-State Fair, or,
And all
so
the
it's.
kids, and all the kids today that went to Plainview.
Yes, that was excused today for FCCLA, so it's a partnership. We approve them as our faculty, so they're supervising all the activities that our kids are doing underneath Kress ISD's umbrella. So, anybody have any questions for them?
What are y'all doing robotics?
So Martin, you should come. It was
You should be a coach.
Yeah, you should. So what they have to do is we had the county extension agent from Lynn County and her robotics team and STEM ambassadors come and provided training for us. And so it's called a Lego robot, and you put it together, and then you program it. There's a website that has the program, and you program your robot to perform certain tasks. And so like the tasks have a theme. So all the major stock shows have a robotics contest. They have a robotics contest at State 4-H Roundup. And then some of the counties, in Texas host robotics contests, and Lynn County is actually gonna host one this year. So basically, you had to program it and tell the robot what to do, like, it'll say, like,
You
what
have
was
to
the,
move like you have to measure it out and tell it how far to move straight and then turn left, and then like some of the things they had to like lift a ball and dump it into a basket. They had to move like a little toy dog into a hospital area to take it to the hospital. Anyways, so basically just all sorts of different tasks. And so those kids, what they do is when they practice, they can create all those programs, and then they're numbered. So those robots hold like, I can't remember how many, 60 programs or something like that. And so they'll know, okay, we're assigned this task, that's program number 10, set it in this exact spot, and if we hit program number 10, it should perform the task. So they have to build different attachments, and then make sure they know the proper measurements and be able to put that into the website, the program.
So I've been thinking, you know, Ms. Couch mentioned to us that, one of the new certifications is the programming deal. Some of those kids would be great for robotics, cause she's expanding esports to the programming. It's the same type thing.
yeah.
Not for my brain.
Those kids this summer, we had 12 come to our robotics day camp, and I mean, it was like we were playing the state football championship at the end. How competitive they were about moving the robot, and you know, there is like there's strategy built into it, because each like whoever's gonna host the contest, everybody kind of has the same theme except for Houston Livestock Show. They have their own. But once they announce it, they tell you like kind of you get to know what the tasks are, and then you have to decide, you know, which are the highest priority, or can we do 10 and get 1 point instead of doing these 2 higher point values. So you have to decide, you know, how are you gonna get the most points with your task that you perform.
And so robotics is new this year to
Yes.
Swisher County, so we're just kind
We
of.
did it several years ago, and then everyone that was doing it moved or graduated. So we've had some people express some interest in doing it, so we're gonna start it back up.
Yeah, to take them to RC if you can. Walmart distribution center just opened up their Symbotic park,
Oh, okay.
and it's all robotics. And
That's
the robots
Okay, cool.
are about, they're about this big. They move at 15 miles an hour,
Wow.
and they're nonstop. I mean, it's
It's
like,
one big one.
Okay.
it's like a ant.
That's great.
Have you ever watched the ants in their home?
Yeah.
You know, it's like
Working.
ants. They're just crisscrossing. They stop, and I think that or Amazon, their logistics in Amarillo.
Yeah, that'd
That's
be cool.
huge.
Just to kind
That
of
would
see
be
how it
something for
translates
your
to-
class,
It's a real world.
for them to see what robotics really do.
Yeah.
You know, the AI on it. So it's so dramatic. I mean, it's
pretty
unbelievable.
Yeah.
But I think that'd be a good place for you to take the kids
Awesome, thanks,
to
Martin.
watch that.
We're gonna hopefully write some grants to get cause the robots that we have are out of date, and so
What
of
kind
course,
Well, I'll talk to you about it later.
anyway, so they're like about $600 to get a robot, so we're gonna write some grants, hopefully to get some of those. So, anyway, any other questions?
Thank y'all for coming
Thank you.
tonight. Thank you for everything y'all do. We appreciate it. You're welcome to stay if you'd like, or I know y'all are busy people.
Thank y'all.
Yeah,
Thank
thank you
you.
so much.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Hughes, it's finally your turn to talk.
Oh, leave that chair.
Yeah, you can
Oh,
sit.
okay, you can sit right
Yeah,
there.
Sit down. That'd be
Sounds
great. And he has given everybody this black notebook here.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So, again, I'm Jason Hughes, I'm with Hilltop Securities. So for those of you that I haven't met before, I was the financial advisor to the district on the 2015 bond. For what it's worth, I was actually born in Plainview, raised in Canyon, graduated from Tech. I even went to Lawson's a couple times for the Friday night dinner with my grandparents. So it's great to be back in the Panhandle. So what you have in front of you is, the first part is more or less kind of a bonds 101. And so I'll kind of go through the process of what happens in a bond issuance and a bond election, things of that nature. I've run some preliminary analysis, so I'll touch on that towards the very end. And then the last thing is if the board did choose to move forward with a bond election, I'll show you what we actually put together back in 2015 tied to that one. So your doing this, I'm very informal. If there's any questions, just please ask me and I'll be happy to go into more detail. So if you turn with me, behind tab 1, I may be relying on these. I've recently entered this phase of my life too, so.
It only gets worse.
Yeah, I know, it's already getting there, so. So really, first, starting off, what is a bond? And this presentation specifically deals with voted bonds. So school district in Texas can issue different types of debt. This again, are the voted bonds that you would take out to your citizens. So the most common thing to relate it to is it's like a mortgage, right? So what you're doing is you're issuing debt for typically a long-term asset, paying for that over time with an interest component. That's all the bond is. So in this case, bonds have to be authorized by your voters. The nice thing about bonds in Texas, specifically voted bonds, is it can be used for construction, acquisition, technology, equipment, renovation, so a laundry list of things. Basically any kind of capital item you can issue voted bonds for. If you were to have a bond election, once your citizens approve that, then you can issue that generally however you want. So, and I'm just making up a number, if you had $5 million and you said, okay, citizens approve $5 million, we want to issue $3 million now, we want to issue $2 million in 2 years, 3 years, you can do that. You can issue all $5 million upfront as well, so you can do that. And then the one thing you see that last bullet point is virtually all public school districts in Texas issue bonds at some point or another. And a lot of that, as you know far better than I do, is you're severely constrained by the state on your M&O summit. It's hard now at this point to raise significant dollars for large-scale capital projects. So that's why you see a lot of times voted bonds being issued by school districts. So how are those bonds repaid? So you are able to levy an M&O tax rate. M&O is what you use to pay your teachers, for general upkeep, educate the students. You also, if you have outstanding voted debt, can levy an INS tax rate, which you obviously do that as well. So the INS, or interest and sinking fund, that tax rate's levied for voted debt and can only be used to repay voted bonds. That last bullet point, the AG or the Attorney General has a 50-cent test that really doesn't apply to what we're looking at and discussing here. So how does bond election work? So you're allowed to hold or call for a bond election on 2 uniform dates currently in the year. So that's in May and November. And I say currently because we're about to have a legislative session that starts. That's one of the things that has been discussed. The legislature over the past 2, if not 3 legislative sessions has talked about things going down to just 1 uniform election date to actually even having only 1 uniform election date every other year. They've also talked about, as it stands right now, it's a simple majority, so the 50+1 to approve the bond election. They talked about taking that to a super majority. They have also talked about basically going in and saying, okay, if you have, or well, however many registered voters that you have to have, anywhere from 20 to 25% of registered voters actually vote for to be a ballot election. Said another way, it's probably going to with the current legislature, and if it stays, I'm not trying to make any kind of political statements, but that is simply a fact that these are things that have been discussed. So again, right now though, as it stands, May and November, keep in mind that you have to call the bond election 78 days beforehand. So I think it's, don't quote me, but I think it's February 18th or 19th for May 2025.
No different than signing up for school board election, it's the same date.
That's right, so you do have to do that, so as you're talking about this, as you're thinking about that, just keep that in the back of your mind. That is in advance of that May or November bond election. Whenever the school board calls for the bond election, one of the things that's included in there, of course, is a not to exceed amount. So whenever you go out, you call, and you call it for $5 million, again, I'm just using that as my example, that's the maximum amount that you can issue, of course, subject to your citizens approving it on the front end. You see there, one of the things, like I said, it's a simple majority. That gives you as a board the right, but not the obligation to issue bonds. And to use a real world example, also represent Sanford Frisch. We had voted some bonds. They had, if I remember correctly, a fairly large fire. And so they were trying to assess the damage, trying to assess how much of their tax base they lost. And so, there was a discussion of, well, we may not issue the bonds, right, depending on that tax value loss. It wound up not being as bad, thankfully, as what they thought, so they were able to go forward and issue those bonds. But again, it did not obligate, simply having the bond election did not obligate, it does not obligate you to issue those bonds. So I talked about you can issue multiple propositions or one if you want. A couple of things that are not included on here, You can actually expend funds prior to your bond election. You can also expend funds once you have the bond election, but prior to the bond sale. And the way that you do that is you have a you pass as a board a reimbursement resolution. And so all that simply allows you to do is it's the legal mechanism in which you can start expending funds from your general fund per se, or as an example, or maybe even a capital projects fund if you have that. And then you can reimburse yourself once you issue bonds. Now, if you're doing that before the bond election passes, that's the one concern, right?
Yeah.
If it was to
It's
fail,
gonna come out of
that's
general
stranded.
fund. Yeah.
Once the citizens have approved, or assuming they approve it though, if you do it at that point, start expending those funds, then you're perfectly fine. So,
That's great.
doesn't cost you anything to put in place, it's just simply bond council drafts it, you as a board approve that, so that's the reimbursement resolution. The other thing, and again, it's not on here, but the one thing
I'm sorry, bond counsel?
yes, so I work as financial
Yeah,
advisor.
you and then the lawyer and the,
That's right.
okay,
So
making
this is
sure,
the lawyer.
that's who we're
This is-
talking about,
that's
yeah,
right.
okay,
So bond
gotcha.
counsel, just very quickly, two main jobs they have, they make sure that we adhere to state law, because
Yep.
state law is very specific.
Yep.
And since we're issuing tax exempt debt, they give a tax exempt opinion.
Gotcha.
So.
Making sure, I thought that's what you were
No,
referring to,
that's,
just making
like I
sure.
said, questions are great, so. The other thing I will tell you, and again, I did not list it on here, if you have projects that you wanna take to the voters, and again, let me just give an example. If you have some projects that are, academic classroom in nature, let's just say you wanna do new classrooms, and then you have a project for the stadium that's really more competition and not PE, they have to be separate propositions. If you're doing 5 classrooms, that can all be one proposition. So there are things, and certainly as we are leading up, again, if the board decides to move forward, I'd be talking with Leah, with bond counsel to make sure that we adhere to all of
Doing
those
them
items
like
for
we-
safety.
yeah. Packaging them, is that how I remember?
Absolutely.
Packaging the plan.
That's correct.
Yeah, gotcha.
That's correct. So on page 6, one of the questions I often get is, well, how do we pay these back, or what's the term? You can sell with a maximum term up to 4 years. Most school districts in Texas, if it's long-term type assets, issue 20 to maybe 30-year debt. And again, behind tab A, I'll go through some of the analysis when we talk more about that. One of the things though that I wanted to point out is if it is short-lived assets like technology, typically we'll amortize those over 5 to 6 to 7 years. If it's buses, we don't take those out 20 to 30 years, for example. The other thing is, and one of the things, and Leah talked a little bit about it, one of the things that you've done from your 2015 bonds is we put in a call feature which allowed us to take out the debt early. So again, that call feature is put in there. The nice thing is it's flexibility solely for the district. So the district is the one that says, yes, we want to pay off debt early, or maybe we want to refinance debt because interest rates have gone down, like you'd refinance your home mortgage. But it doesn't work the other way in the sense that you don't have bondholders that can come to you and say, you know what, I bought this 20-year bond, I'd really like to get paid now. It doesn't work that way. So again, that call flexibility is why we do that. So you can do just what you don't, just pay off debt and avoid interest costs. So it's very helpful there. So on page 7, as far as the interest rate, another question I often get, what's the interest rate going to be? We don't establish the interest rate till we actually go out and sell the bonds. And of course, that happens after you call the bond election, after your citizens have approved the bond election, then we get to a point where we sell the bonds. Even whenever we sell the bonds, I come to you and say, okay, we sold the bonds this morning, they're at a rate of 4%, here's your payments. And again, it's much like where you have a home mortgage, where you know exactly what your payments are, when your payments are due, what your principal is, all those things are established. So that's how it would be. There's no surprises as far as interest rates going up or anything like that. As I talked a little bit about, since these are for the school district and it benefits the citizens as well as the children, these are tax exempt. And all that simply means is an investor does not have to pay federal income tax on the interest that they earn on that. And because of that, they're willing to take a lower interest rate. So that's one of the nice features there. The other thing too is you can get the PSF, or Permanent School Fund Guarantee. Simply an insurance policy administered by the state. It's $1,500. It's the best insurance you'll ever buy. But what that does is the state has a AAA credit rating. And as you go up to the AAA credit rating, the interest rate goes down. So it's the lowest possible cost of capital that we can get, and try to minimize as much as possible the impact to your citizens. So on page 8, this is really just a recap of it here, very quickly, kind of what I was talking about. So unlimited tax bonds, they do have to be voted. Proceeds can be used for a number of different purposes, repaid from the INS tax revenues. One of the nice things about the voted debt is, as the name implies, your citizens have to approve it, so it gives them a chance to voice their opinion. The nice thing too is it doesn't deplete your M&O capacity or your M&O fund balance. So maybe some projects that you would otherwise pay for out of fund balance, since you're constrained and you really don't have as much leeway over the M&O tax rate, it kind of gives you some there that if you did want to debt finance it, you wouldn't be impacting that. So since we are spreading that out, if we were to try and, kind of, and granted this doesn't have as much bearing now because you don't have as much leeway, but if we were trying to get more funds to kind of do pay as you go, you'd have to increase that tax rate pretty significantly. And so again, we're trying to minimize as much as possible that INS rate. The other thing I will tell you is if you're at a point or get to a point where you become a wealthy school district, your INS revenues are not recaptured. In other words, they are not sent back to the state. So that's one of the nice things, that you don't have to do that. Canadian as an example, which is a very,
All these wind farm schools, they don't, that's why they're passing bonds.
That's right. I did Silverton, I did Vega, so yes, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
So again, that is not subject to that recapture, so that's the nice thing on the INS side. So what happens as far as the election order on page 9? So the board, of course, is the one that passes the bond election order. That again includes that not to exceed amount, includes a general description of projects, the date of the bond election, of course, and then wording of the proposition, or if we have to have multiple propositions. That's included in there because we want to tell the citizens exactly what we're doing and what we're asking for them to approve. A lot of times I'll do town hall meetings where I'll go, it's not uncommon to also have architect or engineer there as well, just some people to come in and say, look, this is what we've looked at, here's what we're asking for your approval of, things of that nature.
We did a town hall last time. Did you come last time?
I
don't
did.
remember. You did?
I did
remember
actually
that.
come, yeah. So,
I remember everyone, Mr. Sutliff was very nervous. He did not want to do a town hall meeting, and I remember y'all saying, it's fine, we need to do it, like, we need to tell people.
Right.
He was just nervous about it.
Sure. So.
Cause you're a sitting duck up there, basically.
Yeah.
He was nervous about.
Well, and again, that's what, for me, whenever I advise my clients, I like to do those because I want to give as much information as possible.
Absolutely.
And allow them to ask questions,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So,
It's great.
one of the things, and again, I'll touch on this behind tab B, but we also typically will put together a brochure. In that brochure, as you can see, there's the things that are in there. Obviously, one of the main things that people wanna know is what's this gonna cost me, right? So, we typically put in there, here's when the election is, here's where you can go vote, here's the date, here's the amount, and here's the tax rate impact to you. And that can also include not only homes, but we can also do it for land as well. So certainly that's in some of the more ag-based communities, I've included that too.
Great.
One thing to remember, you can link information to your district website. Anything on your website and anything produced by you, the district, has to be neutral. So you can be factual as far as, again, here's the date, here's the amount, and so on and so forth. You cannot campaign for a yes or no. A political action committee can be set up separate and apart from the school district. That can campaign for a yes vote, but the district itself cannot spend dollars for a yes vote. Right. So on page 10, just some very general information there. You see, of course, now we have a $100,000 state homestead exemption on school taxes. So went from 15 to 25 to 40 to now 100 after the last legislative session. So as you can see there, that example, the nice thing is that takes down the value, the taxable value, or the value in which you're paying your taxes. And then again, we still have the over 65. So they can apply for the frozen levy, of course, if there's improvements to the house, things like that, that's different. But as far as the homestead, and homestead plus, I think it's 2 acres, I need to double check that, applies to that. So before I talk about the analysis on page 11, let me just go into some of the bond sizing factors and give you a little bit on this. So that tax base, as you well know, that if you get certified values in July 2024, that's based on what the values are January 1, 2024. One of the things that we're having to do is make projections into the future, obviously, right? Because we're typically talking about 15 or 20 year time. What I'm trying to do is take into account that, the interest rates, the interest rate environment we're in, be a little conservative, i.e. assume higher rates, and take that into account whenever I'm making projections. So that's what I personally try to do, and I'll talk a little bit about the bond structure as well. Obviously the bond election amount, if you're doing 2.5 versus 5 versus 7, those obviously impact your tax rates differently. And then the repayment term. Generally speaking, the shorter you, or the more you shorten that, right, you're paying less interest, but it's going to be a little bit higher tax rate because you're paying more in that year. So there's kind of some things that we look at as far as kind of where those cross and what's most beneficial. Let me stop there before I go behind tab A, because I went through a lot of information very quickly. Questions about any of that, or more detail you'd like?
Back on page 3.
Okay.
You talked about you could issue them as one or multiple issuances over a period of years.
Yes.
What is the benefit to doing one or the other? What are the
So a lot of times what you'll see is a school district will say, you know what, I'm going to hold one bond election, but we know we have a project that's really not until 2 years in the future. But we don't want to come back to our citizens 2 years later and say, you know what, approve the bond.
Okay, so we just wanna get it approved once.
Right, so a lot of
And
times,
then you
and that's
can
one
go back.
example,
Okay.
that's right. So a lot of times you'll see that, or if it's, you know, maybe sometimes larger school districts where they have to stagger their projects, they'll do that.
They're knocking down buildings, building
Right.
buildings,
Yes.
and it's gonna take
That makes
time
sense.
to do that.
That's
Yeah.
exactly right.
Thank you.
So, yeah, absolutely.
Good question.
Any other questions? Okay, if you'll turn to Appendix A, so what I did in talking with Leah is I just ran one scenario for now. This is kind of the starting point, just kind of have this conversation. And what I did, I'll just kind of go left to right, kind of go through some of my assumptions. So in column B, I actually broke out the solar farm taxable value from what I just called the non-solar farm, right? And so what I was trying to do, and the reason I was doing that, if you look at column D, so for 2025, what I show is about 418 million on the solar farm. We know that those depreciate, right? And so I wanted to break that out. I've held basically the non-solar farm, trying to be hopefully conservative, held that without any growth whatsoever. But the solar farm is 15% depreciation rate per year until that very end. And I did that straight from that chapter 313 cost data request, okay?
This is on a 15-year schedule is what you
That's correct.
kind of based this off of.
That's correct. So I took that into account. So columns G, H, and I, that's your outstanding debt, and what Leah and I at least have discussed preliminarily. Of course, all of this would be subject to your approvals, paying off that 2015 issue early.
Yes, first.
I would avoid again all that interest.
Or we pass this bond first and then pass it.
That's correct. That's right. We would not look to pay it off until this summer.
Right.
So, or this upcoming summer. So the 2025 issuance, what I did there, and President, it's actually 14 years because I basically just looked at it and kind of matched it up. One thing you'll note though, look at column L. So J is your principal, K is your interest, so these are projections obviously. Column L, as you can see, the highest year of debt service is almost 1.2 million in 2026, and it goes down every year. And what I'm trying to do is basically follow that depreciation and then ultimately go over to column N, maintain a steady tax rate.
Yeah,
Right?
for
We don't
sure.
want,
Yeah.
we don't want these
We
wide
don't want
swings.
big swings in that. Yeah.
The other thing I will say is this was really just run as a capacity analysis. So this was run to say, okay, you're taking into account the solar farm taxable assessed valuation and taking into account your current 25-cent INS tax rate. What does that get you if we went out again, took that into account and just said, okay, this is what we want to try to achieve. So if you, for example, if you said, okay, going back to my original example, if you said, okay, we just want to do 5 million, then you could certainly go under that. So what this says is about 7.7, probably a little bit higher actually, or a greater amount because I have a 4% interest rate in there. Today it would probably be closer to 3.3 to 3.5%. Said another way, these are conservative.
Right.
So that's what that was really meant to do, is again, just kind of be the conversation starter and to give you an idea of what that would look like. So questions on that portion?
I like conservative.
I like conservative as well, and I like keeping that tax rate
Where it's at.
where it's at.
The other thing too, I would tell you, is we do the same thing on this that we did on the last one. We put that call in there. If let's say that the depreciation rate wasn't as high, then you can pay off debt
Yeah,
early.
just like we're doing
just
now.
like we're doing
Yeah.
now. Exactly. That's exactly right. So that was the analysis. Again, I'm happy to run anything else and look at different
Can you
scenarios.
kind of walk us through like where you come up with that 7.7? Like, how do you derive to that number?
So it is a mathematical calculation.
This long.
Yeah, it's a mathematical calculation based off a column F, and then just trying to solve for 25 cents.
Yeah.
But it's.
So you're working backwards, really.
It's an algebra.
Yeah, that's what I figured. I was just.
It's algebraic and it's working backwards.
And so, for instance, and I mean, that's a great question, because I use 4%, so let's say that we go down and long-term rates go down super low like they were before COVID, right?
Yeah.
Then that 7.7 could go up to 9.
Yeah,
or
quickly.
10. And the vice versa is true too, right? If interest rates spike, and that's not anticipated, especially with what's going on right now, but that could go down to 6.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's
You got a baseline there to try to get, yeah.
And again, that's why I try to be conservative, where if there is a shift in the wrong direction, right, which is values are lower than expected or interest rates are higher than expected, then hopefully we're somewhere still in this ballpark.
Sure.
Even taking that into account.
Of course, the 7.7 is gonna get us about what the 3 million got us last time, now that everything costs.
Right. True. So
Cost of goods is a little higher than this.
That's right. So behind tab B, the last thing is included in here is the brochure that we actually did for you in 2015. So this kind of shows you what we were looking at, as I talked about on the left-hand side. It goes through, here's the election day, here's early voting, here's to get registered, the number that you call. You flip to that back page, this really has the meat of the information. And again, we could only provide information that was factual, right? So we go through, we talk about how the board called for a bond election of 3 million. We talk about the over 65. We talk about how the money was intended or is intended to be used at the time. You see the tax impact. And then one of the things we always include there is that impact to the taxpayer. So we want to make sure that they can easily look at that.
Look, to renovate the elementary restrooms, which are falling off the wall already. Sorry.
Yeah.
Those aren't very old, they're already be pulling away from the wall.
Yeah. So that's what we're doing, is just trying to provide as much factual information as we can to your citizens. And so this is something that typically what I'll do is provide this, and then you can send it home with kids, or if it's
The newspaper or whatever.
absolutely. So again, I know there's a lot of information. What other questions do you have, or what can I answer for you?
So, after tonight, I'm assuming next month we might have it on the agenda to approve the process, I guess, is that, or do we have to?
No formal approval.
No formal
is needed,
approval, that's what I was
just to move forward and kind of keep discussing it. We
Okay.
can absolutely do
I
that.
think we can do a little survey, start getting some input, start putting together what.
Our wish
what
list.
we want, that type of thing. Maybe schedule we be on and outside of the board meeting. Or have
Public
it all-
hearing.
Or have it all. They can watch it.
And then so nothing formal would happen until January, February, when we
Correct.
officially call for the bond.
The bond election, we're calling for the bond election, yes, would be an official board action, but nothing at least strictly tied to the bonds would be
Okay.
required.
Unless we do the reimbursement resolution.
You did the reimbursement resolution.
So that's
you
what I was
know,
gonna ask, so we've got several big ticket items, we
But
could
we
table those tonight and pass that
Absolutely.
next month with
Absolutely.
anticipation of possibly getting to tie that money
Yes.
into the,
And that's, again, that's a great question, because that's what I typically advise, is if there's projects that you think you may want to include, there's nothing that harms you by going ahead.
right, you're gonna spend the money anyway,
That's
so
right.
it's whether you're gonna do it out of
That's
your
right.
general fund or tag it onto the bond.
That's right, absolutely. So that reimbursement resolution gives you that flexibility to do that.
That's awesome.
That is awesome.
That's good news, cause I think we got $100,000 on here tonight of expenditure, so that would be great if we could kinda see how that works. Alright, thank you for being here tonight.
My pleasure.
And doing this
Like I
work
said,
for us.
always nice to come back
It's
to the
exciting to get to talk about
Yeah.
like spending money again
Yeah.
instead of, and having the income from the solar farm. What a blessing to be able to debt service that. We may get another one coming on board, so that would be even better.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anybody have any more questions for Mr. Hughes?
You're always welcome to call him.
Yeah, and please call me Jason.
The problem is there's another Jason Hughes from Plainview.
Yes.
So,
So, has he always lived in Plainview?
yes. As
So he
far
went
as I
to-
know, born and raised actually, but did they go to school at Kress?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
thought they went to school at
He
Kress,
was
yeah.
he's a redhead.
Redheaded,
So
yeah.
whenever I was at
Because
Tech,
she didn't call
there
it.
was another Jason Hughes, but I thought he was from Childress.
I bet it's the same
Because I
Jason
got called
Hughes.
several times and it was
Yeah.
for
He's
Childress,
redheaded.
funny.
but-
Yeah,
He's
he's
redheaded,
redheaded.
redheaded.
Yeah, sure.
Looks like how did you?
Anyway, we digress there,
Yeah.
but, okay, any other questions for Jason? If not, thank you for your time.
Yeah,
We
I
look
was
forward to
working
this.
with you.
It's gonna be
Yeah.
a fun adventure for sure.
Absolutely. So,
For sure. You're welcome to stay. We're gonna eat in a little bit, or I know you got things to
yeah,
do
I'm
too,
headed to
so.
Lubbock for meetings tomorrow.
Oh
so-
my, okay, well, safe travels.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you for
I
being here.
appreciate
We
it.
appreciate your time. Okay. Okay, we gotta hurry. They're hitting the candy bar there instead of food. All right, let's go on into business. First, we need to approve county agents Blaine Reed, Jason Wade, and Callie Reynolds as adjunct faculty for the 24-25 school year. Blaine Reed wasn't here tonight. He is the IPM agent. Is that it? Yeah, IPM, Integrated Pest Management. So if we have any kids that do any entomology stuff, he covers that, and he works closely with all the farmers in the area on pest management on the farm. So I'll entertain a motion to approve them.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the county agents as adjunct faculty. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next, we need to discuss new floor and wall coverings for the auditorium. So I asked him to say, we're gonna do a bond, but if y'all been in the auditorium, it's like naked. There's no, we're gonna have to do something in the meantime. It was gross.
And moldy. In your packet, you have a sheet, or on the table.
On the table.
There's a sheet color. Blue, one sheet.
Ah, got it.
That is the quote for the auditorium. And the consensus that we have picked, my hand's not good, is this one right here. We go what good with the vanilla color, the white and the black curtain. And kind of tie everything together and get away from the blue.
Yeah.
I like that.
Oh.
Yes, I do
And
too.
then this would be on the floor and halfway up the wall for sound.
Oh,
Yeah.
good,
That'd
good.
be nice.
And that's what this quote is for. And I started in June sending inquiries to different Jake's Carpet and other places, and I had, these gentlemen made a trip here to
Where are they out of?
present. They are out of Amarillo. They also have, I think, showrooms in Lubbock, but it's Floor Coverings International, and they actually replied in email and set up meetings. I couldn't get, sometimes you can't get people to come here because
They're busy in Lubbock and Amarillo.
Yep. So they've been here probably 4 times already.
Wow.
And I've done walkthroughs of all the campus because I have to get all the carpet out. The carpet is nasty.
So they're gonna do all the carpet,
They've
the
given
storeroom.
Yes.
Where else do we have carpet still? The
We have
library?
the libraries, the
The
music,
libraries.
the offices, administrative offices, the libraries. The nursery here doesn't know what there does. There's several, the music group's a big, huge double room.
Yeah, that.
And then it's nasty.
Oh.
Over here it's offices, all the offices and libraries. So overall, the whole project's about $115,000. For the auditorium, it's about 20, and that's what they.
So we could get away with just doing the auditorium now, hopefully with the bond, we can add the rest of
And
it
then
in with
what
the.
they'll do is they'll take, and put out the carpet for all the runways, the front of the stage, up the sides where you have that blue, and then
Yeah.
halfway up all the way around.
Very good.
And,
What's their ETA of getting here and getting it done? Oh, great. That's unusual right now.
I know you might be able to have it done before Christmas.
Programs.
So that old one was glued on?
The glue is nasty. Oh.
Is it that same process again? They're gonna have to do that again?
Yes.
I think it's only when you put that.
That's the only way you
Yeah,
put
that's
that
the only
carpet
way it
down.
goes down.
This is a commercial industrial carpet, and,
Not the
you know, we
blue.
could go back with.
No, right, turn the board.
This was just too dark.
Too dark.
And this has a black, a
A
cream.
little bit of a yellow, I mean,
It's got a little bit, it looks really nice in there, the big lighting,
Yeah.
the lights we have, it'll lighten it up. It won't,
We're gonna have the LED lighting in there, right?
it's already.
It's already in
there.
there.
You already, I got a grant
It's
for
been
that.
in there for,
I got $100,000 grant. to put all
Year
that
and a half.
stuff in.
Yep.
I look for those. No one else, they were like, how did you get that? I said, you have
Great
to look.
money.
You have to look and dig. The comptroller doesn't usually do those.
okay, any questions about, I like the idea of just doing auditorium where it has to be done now, and then maybe we can
Yeah.
tag in some of that
Then bring in the other
with the bond,
All the
hopefully.
carpet out.
All the carpet and all, I mean, there's a lot of things that need to go into the bond,
Yeah,
but
but that's just one.
that's just one thing, yep. So, okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the, new floor and wall coverings for the auditorium.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded, all in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. Next, we need to talk about, authorizing Ms. C to join the Lone Star Investment Pool. I'll let, hold up.
I'm gonna need some help here.
Oh.
I'm gonna try, no, I'm gonna have to write the total in here.
Okay. Yeah, you can.
Sorry,
write
Josh.
that total. Who made the motion?
Martin.
Martin. And Omar seconded it.
So,
Martin.
so. And then by, so I'll put floor coverage right here, right?
Yeah, it's by
Okay,
me.
I'm good to go now, that's all I need to do.
Yeah.
Make you shorthand.
He can do it. It's good.
Go ahead, I'm good.
Okay, you're good?
I just wanted to
He's
know
already-
by.
I'm used to Nicole scribbling and just rolling on.
Nicole usually, you know,
Yeah.
you may have to.
She's
Okay.
familiar with this sheet.
We need
She
to-
is. She
we
knows
need
the drill.
people in training though, we need to be in training all the time and ready, cause you guys need to.
No, I don't mind this, no, I just wanna make sure I do it right.
Alright, next is the, talk about Ms. C, authorizing Ms. C for the Lone Star Investment Pool, you wanna talk about that, Ms.
The
C?
Lone Star Investment Pool is simply school districts, colleges, public universities, and other public entities. And they have a large pool of school districts that are in the Lone Star Investment Pool. What it would do basically is give us some variety.
It's in the packet.
It's in the
Oh, it's in the packet, but there's that one.
It's just a resolution that you have. I'm giving you an overview of it. What it does, it helps you diversify your investment. And they pay some more interest on your investment than say local bank. I'm not saying we're gonna pull our funds at a Kress National Bank. I'm talking about that we're gonna come into some of this money. We could invest it in the Lone Star Investment Pool and make more interest. It's liquid, we can take it in and out, there's no cost for setting it for being.
That's what I was- That's what I was gonna ask.
It's overseen by a board of trustees that are comprised of representatives like school districts that participate in the pool. So it's primarily it's an educational pool in Lee.
So you're anticipating like, after the first of the year when the solar farm, we get that big chunk, maybe putting some of that in there, short
50,000
term
in
to
there
draw,
or
yeah.
more.
Leave what we have in Kress National Bank
And then add
and just
more.
anything extra to maybe come
We're
over
talking,
here.
it's just.
Diversify our
the first
investment
time.
portfolio.
I think that's one.
Well, it's online, it's easy to do banking with it. It's safer because they do only ACH, where we have some limits with our current
We
situation.
do. We've struggled a little bit for years with Kress National Bank. If you do any personal business with them, they haven't quite kept up with
That's why we did,
the
that's why we
times.
had to move your, you know.
Yeah, they just haven't quite kept up, so, and their interest rate, because they are a smaller holding group, is just not as good as a bigger
I'm just
holding
thinking
group.
we could get.
Well,
more
International backs them up, so they're.
Yeah.
It's an investment pool and they can buy securities in larger denominations than Kress
Yes.
can.
Yep.
And by doing that, they can improve our, offer us more interest and improve our yields.
Yeah.
So, they also, because they're a large investment pool, they can select different securities maturing at different times.
It's like an Edward Jones type deal if
Yeah.
anybody uses. Yeah.
So it would enhance our average yield.
Yep.
Of our investment.
I'm assuming they would be, like the same, held to the same accountability as Kress National Bank of having to have so many securities against it and reporting to us their securities against our investment.
Yes, and they're endorsed by the Texas Association of School Administrators.
Cool.
When we go to training for, investing, they encourage districts to become members of the Lone Star pool. There's other pools we could join.
Sure.
But they endorse this one. There's,
So does TASB, right? It's sponsored by?
It's Texas Association of School Administrators. It's the same association like yours, it's Texas Association of School Boards, TASB.
Okay.
That, they have one for administrators. So a superintendent has to go to, procurement training and investment training, so that we're aware of securities and pools and interests. In fact, the last training I went to, it was pretty interesting because they were opening up checking accounts and paid more interest than what our CDs were getting.
Yes.
What?
Oh yeah, some of these checking accounts are paying an
So
incredible amount of interest.
Accounts are pretty good too.
I took all of
Pretty
my
good.
money out of savings and put it in Gold Sacks, and it's just in savings or a checking account. It's making more money in the CDs in Edward Jones.
Yep.
So they're paying higher interest just for a checking account, which is a lot more liquid than a CD.
No, it's interesting, and you gotta diversify your basket. It's
just
just good that we have some money maybe to put into some of these, right?
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
we'd make some more interest and be able to pay off quicker, sooner. It's just a way to make more money.
So Ms. Ziegler, I have a question. Do you eventually wanna move all the
No.
districts into this? No. We wanna continue with Kress ISD?
Yes.
I mean, Kress National
Kress
Bank?
Bank, yes.
As long as they're in business, which I don't think it'll be very long with them being in
Just
business.
being better stewards of the money, just kind of.
I think if we diversify, we won't have an emergency.
Yes.
There's benefits here.
There's benefits in both.
Yeah.
And we're not.
We always wanna support local, but
Y'all, you have to have, we'll have to put 50,000 in there to begin with to join.
that's the seed money is 50,000.
That's it.
We'll be on it.
And, we can do that, and then we can always just bring it to y'all. We've got this money, do you wanna put it in?
Well, and you can
This or
compare the
that?
interest rates then too and say,
Yeah,
what do you offer
Kinda
us,
common
John?
something-
Okay, what do you offer us,
It'll be
Lone
pretty-
Star? That's an easy decision
And that's
then.
something that, when I go over there, when we get ready to put money in a CD, I have to talk to, Shirley and then wait and see what the interest rate's gonna be.
Yep.
And then they'll calculate and then we fill out the paperwork. But, the same process.
Yep.
But
It's just these companies are being competitive with interest rates, and so you gotta take advantage of it.
I would.
I would.
Personally, if
We do
if
personally
you
at
have
my
any
house,
savings,
so.
or if you have any savings, I don't care if it's just a little money.
Yep.
You can put it in a checking or savings account online. I opened an account with Goldman Sachs, it didn't cost me anything. So I just moved my savings from Wells Fargo all over to it.
Sorry.
And I'm making more I'm making good interest every month.
Yeah, that's important.
And I just leave it in there.
Okay, any other questions about the Lone Star investment pool as another tool for us to invest some money into? If not, I'll entertain a motion to authorize Ms. C as the,
To join and execute.
yeah.
Motion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I believe, we talked about tabling D. That's a expensive piece of equipment that we, what Mr. Hughes talked about.
What I would like to do is table D and F.
D and F is what Missy is recommending, and maybe we can add that into the bond package, and we'll relook at that next month. So we'll take no action on D and F.
The baseball the portable mound is about $25,000. And then the bleachers, elevated bleachers for the baseball is $55,000.
And that's not the concrete, that's just the
not including
stands.
the concrete.
Why is it
I don't-
curiosity?
Because that's what it costs, I think, and she just typed it in because it's in the
Okay.
board packet.
Can I just put
No
in-
action.
We're-
NA.
NA for D, we're gonna table that.
Table D, and then E is
Suburban.
the Suburban, and that's on the
I've
table.
got this sheet, I've got a quote, email from Littlefield, pending availability, they don't have one on their lot right now. It's for a 2024 Chevrolet Suburban LS. It's the 9-passenger. And they're coming in at $58,127 now. That's including upgrading to the leather, but that is gonna include the taxi fees. And that's from Littlefield.
Bill Wells is 64.
And
Usually
then-
Bill Wells does us better than that, what's their
Yes.
problem?
Well, there's.
Co-market's gonna be pretty competitive.
Yeah,
very
it's pretty
soon, too.
competitive.
But they have one on the lot, this other people two don't. It's part of availability is the problem.
They can get it out of Dallas.
Bill Wells, no, I called Dallas, they don't have any on the lot.
You
They
said
have-
Bill Wells has one on the lot, or?
Yes, Bill Wells,
Oh,
there's a 64-7-65-18, they have one on the lot. The Dallas is 61-195 plus the leather if you wanna upgrade it, plus the taxi fees, and they don't have one in stock.
I think it's important to do leathers, cause those sweaty gross
I always
kids, man, that
upgrade.
stinks.
I've upgraded all of our
Gross,
Suburbans to leather.
yes,
The other
it's
time we
gross.
don't have leather ones at very old.
Yes, and that
And
that
that
thing
is
is gross,
nasty.
nasty.
They're not, I'm gonna hang on to it.
Oh, yeah.
We're gonna hang on to it, I don't wanna sell it.
No,
Trade
but-
it. It's got the bigger, but
Motor.
I don't, yeah, but I don't.
It's got the
trust-
towing
it's getting-
package on that one.
It's getting older.
Did she say anything about when they might get one, or
Right.
she doesn't have no
It's-
idea?
No,
Really?
pending availability.
Huh.
So it's up to y'all what you
So
wanna
is
do.
the price locked in?
If
If
they
This
find
is,
one.
yeah,
Go with it?
yeah, I'm hold her to it. I mean, she has one that comes in, I'm gonna hold her to this price.
Okay.
That's the whole idea of giving a bid or a quote.
Right.
Well, I hate that Bill Wells isn't competitive, they've always been more competitive on
They
price
have
for
been.
us, but they're not this time, that's a big enough difference to say
It's because
Yeah.
I
Sorry.
think, it's because I think they know they have two.
the
on
only
their-
one
They
available,
have two on their lot and no one else does.
Oh.
playing the game.
But I
No,
would think
wait.
with
Yeah, I would
everything
tell them,
going the way it's going, the inventory would not be a problem.
Exactly.
So, what do you
That
want me to do?
surprises me.
No, it usually does, that's.
Well, I think that
Have you
if you
counted
can
with
get
Bill
one, I was
I
gonna
haven't,
say,
got-
I
in this
haven't
bid?
counted with Bill Wells. no.
I would send Bill Wells this bid and say, we've always done business with y'all,
I can do that.
this is what
I
Littlefield's
would.
doing,
Yeah.
and you
If
can
you're-
match it, we wanna do local.
Alright, so you want me to?
I think we can give you authorization to buy a Suburban,
Yes, and then.
and then you
Yes.
finagle it.
Alright, let's do that.
Alright, does everyone agree with that?
What price?
I'm going to go back.
Price to be determined, I
I'm gonna come
think,
back with this $58,127
Yes.
plus the fees.
plus the fees,
So
so
just
probably
put to be determined in right here in the.
Probably about
on the-
60
I would put, that 58,127 plus fees.
plus tax, BIT tax, we don't pay sales tax.
Just like that, just like it's written on the paper.
Yeah, that's what I would write right there. And then hopefully you can negotiate with Bill Wells
And
to,
that includes all that, so.
Well, that's plus the, yeah,
That
that's the
plus-
leather, I added it up.
yeah.
So when do the 2025s begin to? hit
They're
the market?
starting to come
November.
out, they're up at 70 and
Yeah, I'm
80.
about to say, they're gonna be in the.
They're gonna
70s.
be,
They're up to the 70s and 80s.
We'll see how long they stay there though,
Yeah.
cause they're gonna sit on the lot for a while.
okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the purchase of a Suburban, how does it worded there?
It just
You can
says,
just, you can,
approve the purchase of new Suburban, to approve the purchase of new Suburban in the amount of the 58,127
Mhm.
from,
I'm gonna
Premier.
just say, you can change that, you
Yeah.
can just say we're gonna go, you're approving me to purchase.
To
a Suburban.
negotiate the purchase of a Suburban, I
Yeah.
think is how you need to change that
Right.
wording a little bit, yep.
And that's it.
to negotiate the purchase of a Suburban
To be purchased at.
Premier
This-
or
this
Bill
price.
Can I write
Wells.
it right down here?
This
on the-
price.
Yep. Okay, who made that motion? That was kind of a group effort there.
No.
Nobody did?
I'll make it.
Okay,
I'll
Jessica motion, Martin second. And we'll let Josh catch up for a second.
I'm
You know,
good.
hold
Yeah, I'm
on
talking
to
about the
this.
next one, I'll be able to multitask.
Well, we're gonna table, F, cause that's the stand. She said they're 50-something thousand
55.
plus the concrete. I mean, we're looking at
And there were
70-something
And that's-
thousand
and
there.
I don't have a price yet for the girls, so.
So we're gonna table that for now, and hopefully by next month we have a little more information. And next, y'all all saw that Leonard turned in his resignation, to the board to spend more time with his family, and his job has really changed, his availability. So he's been missing quite a few meetings, and so he has chosen to resign from the board. So first of all, we have to accept his resignation. I need a motion,
I'll
please.
make a motion to accept Leonard's resignation.
It's been moved and seconded to accept Leonard's resignation. All in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Next, we need to talk about what we're gonna do in that position. So he is up for election in May. So typically, if it's within the year,
This is a policy.
we have policy. If it's within the year, it stays open until May and let it go to the voters to decide on that position. So, this is the motion that someone needs
We
to
actually,
make.
we have two options. One, we appoint. or
We're gonna
we-
do that.
Or we, since it's less than a year till May.
Yep.
Just like we didn't appoint anybody, we waited for the election and you won the election.
Yep.
I think that's the best way to do it.
It's the fair way to do it.
They have to run and be elected.
Yep.
We did that way last time, I say we continue that.
We've
Oh,
done
we
that
did
way
with
for
Shawn.
several times,
Yeah.
for Shawn and several times we've done it that way, so. Okay, I need that motion, please, Martin. You're reading it. You have the paper.
You have the paper.
There's so many papers.
Alrighty, I move the board take no action at this time concerning the vacancy and trustee position at large one. And finding it is in the district's best interest for the position to remain vacant until it is up for election in May 2025. Unless other action by the board is taken as provided by Texas Education Code section 11.060.
And that other is what I said, you can appoint. There's been no discussion, no one saying I wanna be on the board. Plus, I think it's more fair,
If we go.
if they run.
Make them run and make them, yeah. Okay, it's been moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to,
You gotta read this
leave,
first.
I'm not reading the whole thing. To
Yeah.
leave,
You don't
place
have to.
one open until the May 2025 election. All in favor say aye.
Yeah.
It's
you
fine.
probably
Opposed?
did that, okay.
Motion passes. Alright, next,
I probably anticipate now.
we need to accept Miss Warren's resignation. She's not gonna she's retiring
She's retiring.
end of May, so, I'm like, wow, she's like the first person, she's on it. She knows she's ready to
I
retire.
think she's just being,
Courteous.
she's being very, Sherry's always this way. Sherry loves this district, she's dedicated her life to this district in terms of career.
She has.
Some of us have done that, and she is just anticipating that it may be difficult to hire, to find special ed teacher. I know that Ms. Walker is working on being certified in special education. We may look to one to be in that position, but
When I
Sherry's
asked Miss
ready.
Zeigler what happens if Miss Warren changes her mind, she said, well, we hire her back. That's easy, you know, that's not no problem, so. We need to go ahead and approve her, resignation effective May 31st. She's not gonna, we're not gonna let her leave midstream.
Ms. Ziegler, how many years has she been?
28.
she, she's close to 28.
I think she got her 25-year pin 2 or 3 years
So
ago,
she's
so.
one of the
Oh, yeah.
top tier.
Yeah, her, Missy,
One of the
and
best.
They, if let's talk about being there, we go into closed session, it
Gotcha.
depends what she wants to do.
So we don't have to
Yeah, we
accept the resignation.
So,
The
We
table
don't
it to
have
me.
No, table it to May.
no. Who?
that would make her anxious.
It would make her a nervous
Make
wreck
her a
if we
nervous
did it.
wreck.
We don't wanna do that to her.
Why? Why did you, why?
Cause we want you to go.
That's just her nature.
That's just her nature, okay?
Yeah. Alright,
I
Jessica
second.
motion, Martin seconded, all in favor say aye. Opposed? I would like to go into executive session and talk about, Ms. Ziegler's salary. Oh, Josh, do you know how to do that?
That's right here, so.
I
You motion. so.
motion to go into executive session.
At 8:46 p.m.
Someone needs a second, so.
It's been moved and seconded to go into executive session, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Could you, oh,